The time is 5 o'clock in the morning in the wintertime in the UK. It's absolutely freezing and I get out of bed feeling totally exhausted. I get dressed, I brush my teeth, and I get my shoes on. I walk out into the freezing cold. It's dark, there's ice everywhere. I'm trying not to slip as I'm walking down the road. And I walk all the way to the top of my street and get to the bus station. I'm smoking a cigarette as I'm walking up to the bus station, and I get on the bus, and I've got to be on it for about an hour before I get to work. I get off the bus, I smoke another cigarette on the walk from the bus station to my office, and I go and work my 9 to 5. It's still pitch black outside. For lunch, I get a McDonald's. I'm drinking coffee all morning. I've got a bad headache throughout the whole day. I barely see any of the sunshine in the wintertime. And then as soon as I'm finished at 5 o'clock, I walk back to the bus station and I get on the bus to go home. When I get home, I just watch some YouTube videos, maybe play some video games, some GTA 5, and I go back to bed. I know that I wasn't alone in this kind of routine. There's a lot of young guys like me who are doing the same thing, so I needed to do a hard reset. I needed to get out of this rut that I was in because I was doing this for 2 years. I got out of shape, I had bad mental health, my skin was all bad, my hair was all overgrowing, I didn't have enough money to go get a haircut, I was smoking, so my lungs and my mouth and lips were going all dry and weird. I wasn't staying on top of my health, I wasn't drinking enough water, I was eating McDonald's every day, so I wasn't getting any good nutrients in. I just felt absolutely terrible, so the first thing I needed to do was fix my mental health. You see, the way this works and how to sort of get out of a rut and how to sort your life out, you need to fix your mental health. Your mental health and your brain is the thing that's driving your body to make the daily decisions. So you need to get your brain in order, you need to get your brain in check so that you can make the right decisions in the coming weeks and months so that you can actually fix your life. You can try and change your body, you can try and change the work that you do, you can try and change your diet, but none of this stuff's gonna work unless your mental health is right. So I started to clean myself up. I cleaned my room every day. I just did simple things like making my bed in the morning, putting my bin outside so that my bin wasn't overflowing in my room. I started taking cold showers in the morning. I started reading books. I started meditating on a night. All these things helped me to just clear my mental health. And one of the biggest things that actually sorted out my mental health was going on a dopamine detox. If you've not heard of a dopamine detox before, this is where you strip yourself of doing all of the pleasurable activities, watching porn, playing video games, watching Netflix, binge watching YouTube, eating whatever you want. I basically stopped doing all these things and basically I took my PS4 and put it downstairs, and I just said, listen, I said to my sister, you can have my PS4, I don't want it anymore. I took it out of my room, took it out of my space so that I couldn't use it anymore. I made a promise to myself that I wasn't gonna watch any more porn. I made a promise to myself I wasn't gonna be watching Netflix on a night. And I did all these things so that I could strip my brain of the constant spikes of dopamine that I was experiencing every night. And literally after doing this for a few weeks, I started to notice that my mental health was improving. Secondly, I needed to work on my physical health. Now that my mental health was better, I could better make decisions and feel more motivated to actually sort out my body and sort out my physical health. So what I did was I basically stopped eating McDonald's. Literally every day in that kind of work commute that I was describing, I would go get a McDonald's for breakfast. I would get a Big Mac and those little Tropicana orange juices every single day. And then for lunchtime, I would get a Big Mac or something or a wrap. And I used to get these frappuccinos from McDonald's. If you're in the UK, they might do them in America. They're like this coffee drink that has like a bunch of chocolate in, a bunch of cream, probably like 400 or 500 calories in one. And I used to have one every day. So I cut all of that out of my diet, cut all the sugar out, and immediately I started to lose weight. Because at this point I was actually getting kind of fat, to be honest. I was really unhappy with the way I looked. So I really wanted to sort out that with the way I looked and basically just strip off the fat. And when you can actually sort out your body and you're not as fat, you don't feel as bloated, and you actually are in better physical health, this then causes a feedback loop to your brain. So as your mental health improves, you can then make better decisions to improve your physical health, your body. And then when you look in the mirror and you have a better body, you feel healthier, you feel better because you're not pumping yourself full of sugar. That feeds back around into your mental health, which then improves your self-image and all these things, and then that feeds back around and it just creates this really nice positive feedback loop. So that was the first major step for me, was creating that positive feedback loop. The way I felt, and that affected the way my body felt, and then the way my body was affected the way I felt again, and it just went round and round and round. This is also around the time that I started to lift weights. So me and my dad, first started lifting weights together actually in lockdown, so when the pandemic hit. So as soon as that hit, I made a promise to myself, I want to improve my body. I'd already started sorting out my diet and cooking my own meals and having more protein and less fat and sugar. And I wanted to also improve my muscles, because when I started stripping off the fat, I realized that actually, I don't have much muscle. So my dad taught me how to lift weights. I've still got his old dumbbells over there in the corner and a little weights bench, and I used to just lift weights with my dad. The third thing I needed to do was I needed to sort out what I was doing throughout the day. I needed to get rid of this horrible commute that I described to you in the beginning. I needed to get out of this horrible 9 to 5 that I was in. And I actually got lucky with this. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I got lucky because this is when the pandemic hit. So my job that I had, that I described at 9 to 5, the company actually went into liquidation. So I was actually unemployed for a long time. And a lot of you would see this as a bad thing because I wasn't really earning money. But to me, this was a good thing. I just didn't want to take that commute. I didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have to walk in the icy cold winter season in the UK, get that bus at 5:15 and have to be on it for an hour just to get to work. I really didn't want to do that anymore. Those were some horrible things and really affected my mental health. I didn't want to do that commute anymore. So actually losing this job was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I fucking hated that job. It was so boring. I mean, in the UK, it's so dark at winter time. The sun's only out in the day for like 5 hours. So I was locked in this office, staring at computer screens, just working away. And then when I'd finish work, it would be dark again. So I was barely seeing the sun. And I just felt like I was trapped in this situation and I couldn't get out of it. But for you, if you have a job right now that you absolutely hate, this third step to basically get out of this situation is you need to start finding other ways to make money. And what I would suggest you do is you try and start making money online. And then obviously that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of effort. So you need to start doing something in the meantime that you're going to enjoy more, something that you're passionate about. It could be YouTube, it could be a business, whatever it is. Just try and find something and start that thing, right? That's the thing that you're going to be working on. That's your main thing right now. And having something that you can work towards, a purposeful goal, is going to hugely, hugely help you. The fourth thing I needed to do was I needed to improve my relationships. At the time, I was with my girlfriend, who's now obviously my ex-girlfriend, and the relationship wasn't great. I wasn't really happy in the relationship anymore. I'd been in it for a long time and I was too scared to get out of it. I didn't want to hurt the other person. I felt like a dick and I just felt a bit trapped in it. And if you're in a relationship like that, then the best thing you can do, honestly, if you really don't want to be in it and you can't see yourself being with that person forever, you need to get out of it as early as possible. Having negative relationships in your life is such a huge impact. I mean, I didn't realize that at the time. I thought it was just because of my job and because of my mental health and because of the way I looked and my kind of diets and habits. But we often take for granted the relationships around us are so important into feeding back into the way we feel. So get your relationship sorted out. If you've got a negative relationship with someone, cut it off. This could be partner. This could be friends that are, toxic friendships. Get them out of your life, If you need to go off on your own for a bit and do this sort of monk mode protocol, where you distance yourself from everyone, then go and do that. And then you can sort out your relationships at a later state. I'm not saying relationships are important, because they're incredibly important, but you need to focus on yourself first. If you're not happy in your life right now and your life just seems to be going downhill, it could be because of external people that are in your life. So the best thing to do is cut them out and to focus on yourself for a bit. And the last thing that you need to do is you need to have a purposeful goal. So we sort of touched on this a bit when I was talking about what job to do, like the actual physical ways of making money, but you need to have a purposeful goal. The best way I can describe this is having something that's yours. So when you've finished your work during the day, you will come home and there will be options to just indulge in entertainment, right? Playing video games and watching porn and watching YouTube for hours after you finish work. This is something that I used to do all the time. And my life seriously started to improve when I had the kind of motivation and the, I've got something going for me sort of feeling. And that was when I started my businesses online. So I was working on what's called print on demand businesses. And it's kind of like drop shipping a little bit. And I was working on those businesses. They didn't really make much money, to be quite honest with you, but at least I was working on something that was outside of my main job, right? It was something that was mine. I was working on it and it made me feel productive. If you can do something that makes you feel productive, that's purposeful, that, it kind of fuels your ambition and makes you feel good when you're working on it. Like, you're sort of excited to see the results. Like, I remember I used to set these websites up, and as soon as I would get a product live on there and put advertisements for that product onto Facebook, I would be excited. I would think, oh, you know, hopefully it does well. I mean, none of them made money, but I'd just get excited when I was getting clicks on the ad. And it just made me feel really good and fed back into the mental health and body sort of health that we talked about, that feedback loop. And that's kind of where you want to be at. But for you, this could be, you know, whatever it is that you're working on right now. I use YouTube as an example a lot, but that's just because what I'm doing right now. And my mental health has never been better. I've never felt more motivated and, you know, better on self-improvement than when I started this YouTube channel, because I can talk about these sort of things now and talk about these things that I'm interested in. And not only that, but obviously make a little bit of money doing it as well and build an audience and create. You know, you need to have like an outlet in your life that you can put your own work into and be creative and be a producer rather than a consumer. Right, remember, just improve yourself by 1% every day and you will get there. See ya.